Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 71 of Third and Wrong. I'm your co-host, Stephen Bolin, and joined as always, is my co-host, Austin Dallonga, as Zach could not be with us today. And we're really fired up to have our first CFL agent on, Jayevan Foster of Empire Management. Jayevan, welcome to the podcast, man. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped.
Awesome. So just to give our listeners a little bit of a background, explain how Empire Management kind of came to be and what kind of work do you guys do there?
So Empire Management is Hamilton's #1 sports agency. Started in 2015. So yeah, it's a sports agency. We represent CFL athletes specifically. So player contract negotiations, player development, community. Specifically, that's exactly what we try to do. So, like I said, I started in 2015, so it's five years. Anniversary was this year, 5 years. So, pretty excited. And yeah, we've been slowly building a name for ourselves in the sports industry. So, pretty excited about how far we've come. And a lot of businesses don't last 1 or 2 years. So, here I am in my 5th year. So, pretty pumped.
That's fantastic, Jayevan. Just it's good to see that growth 5 years in the making, seeing your portfolio grow. I'm super pumped to have you on. I just wanted to say that. But can you just take us back? I know you got a football background, so I just wanted to take us all the way back. What got you into football, Jayevan?
So football. So to be honest, I didn't start playing for a while. Like I always wanted to play basketball. My mom loved basketball. She thought football was way too violent, so I stayed away from football. I ran track and field and played basketball. And then, in my senior year, so grade 12 is when I started really playing football. And it was my high school coaches that were really kind of pushing me to play. Okay. And basically, I was a pretty boy. Like I played basketball. Like, like football is violent. They're playing in snow. They're getting muddy, getting hit. I was like, I don't want any part of that. But grade 12, I started playing. I was a receiver and had a really strong season playing receiver for my school. In Hamilton, we have really good high school football in our area in Hamilton. And I had a phenomenal season. A lot of coaches and a lot of schools across Canada started recruiting me. I'm like, what? I'm like, this just for playing football. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I got no love for basketball. I was only 6 foot, like 135 pounds soaking wet. So, and then basically I went back to school for a victory lap, which they don't have anymore but I went back for my 5th year and had another amazing season playing football at the receiver position. Played like, I don't know, like it's like summer football, right? And then I played that to gain more experience. And then, a lot of schools were recruiting me and I ended up choosing Queens. And the kind of the rest was history. That's one of the best choices ever made because it was a great school academically, as you guys probably know. And it was a great football program. So I was there from 2008 to 2013, so 5 years. And I was able to win a Vaynerchuk Cup in 2009.
Oh, nice.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah. So we beat Laval and that whole year was insane, right? That's kind of the way how I got introduced to football. And my mom still didn't really like to watch me play. So, but football, it's a family sport, right? So connects a lot of people. It gave me a lot of opportunities. So that's how I kind of got into football and didn't end up in the pros, but
Hey, that's all right.
Next best thing as a CFL agent, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm still part of the game.
You got to play under a familiar name at Queens, someone we had on our podcast here. Can you describe to us, if you want to give a shout out to him, Coach Sheehan?
Yeah, of course. Coach Sheehan, Coach McManus. Yeah, so he was our offensive coordinator, kind of working with Coach Sheehan at the time. A brilliant football mind, right? So it's crazy to see how everyone, part of that coaching staff is now Coach Ryan Sheen is now the head coach at Guelph, right? Mm-hmm. So I was part of history almost, right? So a lot of these amazing guys in 2009, and we had a number 1 draft pick, Shamari Williams too, went 1st overall. Yeah. So, and being in a locker room with guys like that, I got a quick early feeling to see who's going to be it shows you who's going to be a pro. These guys come in and they work hard from day one, and you can see that they love the game a little bit more than everyone else, right? But yeah, Coach Ryan Sheehan, like, yeah, he's an incredible mind. Guelph produces so many athletes. They have a guy that just went down to Ole Miss, right? So they're producing amazing players year in and year out. So shout out to Coach Ryan Sheehan.
That's awesome, man. Hopefully he listens, and if not, then we've caught him, and we'll make sure he listens and catches up to every episode that he hasn't listened to yet.
Okay.
Do you want to tell us a bit about the journey of attaining your honors degree in human and physical geography to becoming an agent? Like, at what transition? Because obviously when you're in university, a lot of people's goal is to get that degree and, you know, get into the kind of the corporate world or whatever your field of study is, but you went the entrepreneurial route. At what point did you kind of start looking at that side of things?
So yeah, so basically I always wanted to be a lawyer, right? Like, so like, cause I always thought if you're going to be an agent, you need to be a lawyer. That's what you think, right? That's what most agents have some of the biggest agents are lawyers. That's their background. So basically I took geography. I wrote my LSAT a few times, got accepted to law school, and then opted to just go for it, because I said, you know what, in 3 years of being in law school, it's very expensive. Queens is very expensive. And I just didn't, not to say there's no value in going to law school. I just felt that jumping right in and building a business may be better for me personally. It was a personal decision for me. It was a financial decision for me as well. It made more sense for me just to go dive right in and go head first and pursue this entrepreneurial journey that I'm on.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
And are you able to tell us a little bit about, so you're in Queens playing receiver, and you win the Vanier Cup. Did you have any aspirations to play professionally? I know we're kind of shifting gears again, but could you just dive into that?
Honestly, yeah, but it's just like, I definitely wanted to. That's the goal. Like, all athletes, you got to think you're the best, right? And you can't say, you know, like, you don't, like, you have guys on the show, Ricky Collins Jr., one of the best receivers in the league. You're not going to say he's number 2 or number 3, right? You have to have the mentality that you're the best, right? So yeah, I definitely want to go pro, but again, as Canadians, we don't know how to go pro. No one knows. It's almost like it's foreign to us, right? Like, Americans, they're so, what we're doing in university is what in America is what high school kids are doing. You know what I mean? It's just like they're so far ahead of us, right? And we didn't know. I didn't know how to go about it. I got invited to Dwayne Ford's combine, because there wasn't even regional combines, I don't believe, at that time. So I think in 2013 or 2012, I was at, like, you know, Dwayne Ford's combine, and I was a speedster, right? Like, I was running 4.4s, 4.49s, lasers, 4.5s, but I wasn't heavy at all, right? So, you know, I compare myself to like a Speedy Banks, right? I'm 6 foot, around the same weight, and at the time, you know, that wasn't the most ideal receiver, like, right? Like, they always want a big, bulky guy, 6'3", 225. The game has changed a lot, right? So there is a place for those like Julian Edelmans and Speedy Banks and those slot guys like Rob Bagg, again, another prolific wide receiver from Queens, right? So I'll be shouting out Queens a lot today. So
all good.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Definitely, yeah. So didn't go pro, and but I love the game, and I want to stay around the game, right?
Yeah, and going back to your career and your entrepreneurial endeavors with Empire Management, can you explain what's been the hardest part about being an entrepreneur in this field?
I think building your business, right? So it's like being a first year agent was, I think, one of the toughest things, is because you have to gain these players' trust. This is their career. This is everything to them. And now I'm coming in here being like, you know, hey, like, I want to represent you. They're like, what the hell do you know? I'm like, oh, you know, and it's basically what many people say is even if you never turn down business, you know, if you don't know, you say yes and you learn later, right? So I think that was the toughest part, is building the book, building the trust. And in my first year, I was only able to represent 3 players, and I was blessed to have one drafted, Matthew Topan from Guelph. He was an O-lineman. So, and I think that gave me the confidence, the motivations, and the swag to continue. And I was like, okay, maybe I am on the right path, right? I had these 3 guys. I was able to convince them and their families and their parents. And then when their name got called, you know, in my first year, it meant a lot to me. It went in the 8th round, but it doesn't matter where you get drafted, as you guys know, as long as you're drafted. And sometimes it doesn't even matter if you're drafted, because a lot of free agents, you know, have amazing careers too, right? So.
Absolutely.
awesome.
That makes up a lot of the leagues is undrafted free agents. So you're totally right there.
Exactly.
Grinding from the practice squad up. I saw in a quick interview that you did with, I think it was The Spectator. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned that you're a pretty big fan of Gary V's content and Gary Vaynerchuk, I guess, for those that don't know. How has kind of he inspired your work? Like, just, you know, he's obviously very energetic and enthusiastic about the message he preaches. And I just thought that was interesting because it's someone we follow as well. And you know, and whether indirectly or directly kind of inspired us to start this as well. So it's just kind of interesting to see that, you know, the influence there. And I was just curious as to how much of his advice you've taken.
Yeah, so Gary Vee, like Red Crushing It, and that book was, you know, he's pretty straightforward, right? Like, you know, he just tells it like it is. He's a straight shooter. I love it. He doesn't hold back. Gary Vee is very inspiring. Guys like Grant Cardone, those guys too, right? So I took it a lot from them, and it was just basically just taking a leap of faith, right? Because I think we get in our own minds so often and we psych ourselves out, right? So it's like we get in our own minds, we psych ourselves out, but it's just, man, we just got to go for it, right? It's just like you have these dreams, you have these aspirations, and it's like we only got one shot at life. It's like we're not going to be here forever. It's like you just have to go for it, right? So that's how I felt with me, this being an agent. It's like so many people tell me all the time, oh my God, I've always wanted to be an agent. And probably you guys have a successful podcast. People come up to you all the time and say, oh, I wish I want to start a podcast. And it's just like the difference between you and them is that you did it. Right. The difference between me and them is that I went out and did it. I executed. I wanted to be an agent. I found out how, and then it made it happen. Right. So Gary Vee is very inspiring, and it just shows that, you know, look how much he's grown. He was started in the wine business, and now look at him. Right. Yeah. So now he has VaynerMedia. Now he's like, he has his own sports agency too, where he's representing NFL athletes. Right. So it's like, it shows that entrepreneurship is it's everything. It's so broad. Right. So very
really cool.
Definitely.
So as an agent, Jayevan, what are you looking for in the players you represent? Like, I know you're probably out scouting potential high school games or for sure college. And so what's kind of those traits you're looking for on the field, and, you know, what kind of goes into that process?
Yeah. So for me, I think most agents are, you know, it may be different, but my route is like, first you have to have the height and the weight, unfortunately, especially for Canadians. Like for me, I focus on Canadians. I love Canada so much. I think we have an amazing talent, and our players are good enough to play down south in any sport, you know, whether it's hockey, basketball, football, we're good enough to play and down south in anything. So for me, it's like, first you have to have the height and the weight. That's the first. If you check that box, then you're on a good start, right? So obviously, like I said, there's other factors, but height and weight are key, you know? And then it's like, for me, it's on the field and off the field. For me, I do have a different scouting process. Like I like guys that, you know, that are educated, because I'm a Queens guy. I like guys that are good on and off the field, that don't have off the field issues, you know what I mean? Like maybe domestic issues or any history of that stuff. I don't judge people on their past, but it's like, for me, it's, Empire is my family. When I bring you into this, it's like it's like almost like a brotherhood. So it's like I can't be representing people that don't fit my morals, values, and ethics. So, but yeah, scouting. Yeah, you're traveling. I'm on the road a lot. I live in Hamilton, so luckily enough, most schools come through Hamilton. They play MAC, so I'm able to see a lot of these guys live on the field, and, you know, obviously highlight tapes. And just asking around about them, right? I sit in the stands, I have binoculars, and I'll be looking at them after bad plays, good plays. What type of guy are you? Are you a guy that's going to yell at your coach, yell at your players? Do you have your head down? Are you a hothead? Are you calm, cool, collected? So those are the things that I do really look for when I'm scouting. And then I like to just, and for me, it's all about energy. I think, like, for me, energy is everything. Like, I can feel people's vibe and feel their energy. If it doesn't mesh with me, I already know it's not going to work, because I'm representing you. I have to trust you. I have to, like, you're my guy. I'm going to war. When I go to contract negotiation, it's going to war for my guy, right? And it's like, the league wants you for as cheap as they can get you, right? But I'm going to go to war for you. So if I'm going for war for you, like, we have to be on the same page. I have to trust you. You got to trust me. And for me, sometimes it takes, it's years of knowing these guys, right? And sometimes it comes into fruition. They end up being my client. Sometimes they don't choose me, which is totally fine, right? You win some and you're going to lose some too, right? You got to put yourself out there. But my recruiting process is, honestly, as I like to keep it pretty tight. Like for each draft, you could represent 30, 40, 50, 100 guys. But in the CFL, there's only 70 guys' names are going to be called. So I like to keep it tight. That's always been my way. Like in the last draft, I only represented 12 guys, right? 3 were drafted and another 3 are going to be signed. So it's like, I think for me, it's quality over quantity. That's always been kind of my mantra.
That's awesome to hear.
Really
You gave a lot of tidbits in here that could segue into my next question, but I want you to put it for the young players that are coming up through the ranks. Do you have any advice for them in terms, from an agent's perspective? Do you have any advice for them moving forward?
Yeah. So first is just, control what you can control, right? Like we just heard some, devastating news from U Sports, and, that's out of their control, and, but I think for the advice for the young guys coming up is that anything is possible. You put the work in, you're going to get found. Being drafted is obviously the easiest way, one of the easiest ways to segue yourself into the league. But like we discussed, there's tons of undrafted free agents. Like I said, I have 3 guys in this draft class that are going to be signed. They weren't drafted, but it doesn't matter. They're great players, and teams want them on their team. So it's for the younger guys, just keep putting that work in, keep your head up, and just don't let the noise get in your head. Like Joel Embiid always says, like just stay away from the noise, and that's what's very important. You need to just be true to yourself, stay true to who you are, and to put the work in. And it's just like when no one's watching, right? You got to put that work in. Jay Rice, he's always putting that work in. He won a Super Bowl. Steve Young said he was in there working the next day, right? And no one was watching, and he's putting in that work. And I think that's what it's about. It's just putting in that work and believing in yourself. Because like I said, we get in our own heads all the time. We think we're not good enough. You think you're too short. You're too small. You're not fast enough. And that negativity can really weigh on you. So it's about just that self-belief. And I think that's the most important thing. You have to have that swag. You have to have that demeanor. Because I ask all my guys all the time, like when I'm recruiting, like, I'm really like, hey, like, did you always want to be an athlete, or if they get invited to East West, I'll be like, oh, is that a surprise to you, or did you expect that? And I want them to have that, not cockiness, but you want that confidence, that swag, that arrogance, that, yeah, no, I definitely thought I should have been invited, and I'm happy I did, and I'm going to go ball out and things like that, right? So I think that the best for the future guys coming up is just to believe in yourself and put the work in. You got to put your 10,000 hours in, right? Malcolm Gladwell, you got to put that work in.
That was awesome. And there was a time there when you were talking with your hands, your Vanier ring came up, and I thought that just spoke volumes. That's a man who practices what he preaches. That's what you're gonna get, is that ring when you do what Jayevan tells you. Jayevan Foster of Empire Management, that you're gonna get those rings.
Yeah, Queens, we haven't done it since 2009, right? It's like that's history, right? So and that's something that no one could ever take away from me. When I win a championship, no one could take it away from you. So
absolutely,
that's true.
I just wanted to segue into, you do some community work, and it's on your website, but for our listeners, tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the community these days.
Yeah, so before COVID, we're very active in the community. So we do like park cleanups, we do like food drives, we do a lot of donations. The biggest thing that I had planned this year that it was obviously canceled was the camp. Was a high school football camp for grade 8 to grade 12, and I was gonna have all my CFL players go out there and coach these kids, and it would have been a great opportunity for them. So for me, it's community is everything. Hamilton, like I said, our community is very tight knit, especially with we have the Bulldogs, we have now our soccer team, we have the Tiger Cats. So and all those teams are very heavily in the community. So for me, it's very important to be a part of my community. People see me around, the parents will see me around, and it's they know who I am. They know who's part of my team is, and I think, like I said, it just goes back to service above self. You got to give back, right? So even for me coming up being an agent, I had no help, right? So like I have interns now that I'm grooming. That will be my competition one day, but it's at the end of the day, it's like I didn't have that when I wanted to learn 5 years ago, right? So it's like it's all about giving back, right? I'm sure if people are going to reach out to you guys all the time and ask about podcasts and how'd you guys do it, Steve? Like how'd you do it? Teach me, right? And you're willing to help, right?
Absolutely. You mentioned COVID. What's the landscape been like as an agent navigating this? Obviously, it's no secret with the CFL trying to get that the government money to kind of
Right.
make it into the next year. The players want to be paid, and rightfully so.
Of course.
Obviously, this caught everyone off guard. I can't imagine what it maybe did to your field of work. Can you kind of give us a peek into what that's been like? Obviously, you have to keep confidentiality in some regards, but just really curious as how that's impacted. Is there any negotiations at all with general managers, or is it almost out of your hands at this point?
So COVID it's unprecedented, right? No one could plan from this. You could see even like the major other leagues, the NHL, NBA, MLB, everyone's trying to kind of figure it out. I think the most important thing is player safety. I think that's what we need to think of first. So we'll see like what happens. I'm praying that there is a league. That's like I said, there's a lot of guys' livelihood, but I think safety is the most important thing. It's been tough. So basically, I'm trying to just continue like everything's going to be normal. Like even like, for instance, there was no East-West Bowl this year again. So, the fourth-year players are not having a season. But guess what? Come next May, there will be a draft regardless, right? So just like in this year's draft, it's like each team kind of everyone goes about it recruiting it differently. So like I'm sure in this draft, like there were so many like, what the heck? Who's this guy? Who's that guy? You don't even know. So each team has, the guys that they kind of like. For me, I've been recruiting the same way. I haven't really changed anything just because at the end of the day, there will be a draft next year, whether these guys played a season or not. And yes, the last time I seen them play was in their third year, but I think I kind of know who the guys that I'm targeting and the guys that I like. But in terms of like negotiations and stuff like that, things have been kind of almost on pause until we have a better understanding of what's going on, right? So that's kind of where we're at. But unprecedented times, I can't even imagine even what the fourth years guys are going through. Or the guys that we're going back. They weren't drafted, but you're going back to play your fifth year. It's like now there is no fifth year. Right.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask you about that. What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously you played 5 years, correct, in Queens.
Exactly. Yeah.
Take us through that. The athlete's shoes. You have your fifth year stripped from you. I mean, that's got to be a devastating feeling.
I can't even imagine. It took a while to sink in because it was devastating, right? Like it's just. We'll see what happens. I hope that they maybe appeal it because, like I said, it had nothing to do with the guys. Like this is COVID. This is what happened. I get it. They implemented the rule to make it fair, but these 25-year-olds, like I said, they may never ever have the opportunity to play football again. So to take that away from them, it's pretty devastating. So we'll see what happens. I would pray and hope that these guys are able to get that 1 year of eligibility back. It would make sense because. Who would have predicted COVID? But when it went down to the vote and everything like that, I believe what happened was a lot of people unanimously voted for the players to get their fifth year. But when things got down to it, I believe like a lot of the schools that didn't have football are the ones that voted against it. And I think that's what happened. So a lot of the schools that don't have football, they don't understand maybe the landscape of football. They voted against it, and now we'll see what happens.
That's there's a lot to take away from that, and that's kind of leads me into my next question, Jayevan. For you, what's been the biggest lesson that football has taught you? There's, like you said, there's these guys that might be playing their last snaps. Could have been last year with them not having the eligibility and stuff like that. It's there's some valuable lessons to take away from what those athletes are going through now, but. For you, what was the biggest lesson football taught you? So,
for me, one of the biggest lessons I think is just honestly like not judging a book by its cover. I think that's one of the bigger ones for me. It's like you just can't judge people. You never know what they're going through. It's like sometimes people are having bad days, this and that. You don't know what they're going on. They may have lost their parents, or you don't know what they're going through at home. It could be domestic abuse, could be violence. But the biggest thing is that just not judging people. Even when I meet these players and maybe their families, it's like some of them are coming from rough neighborhoods, or maybe the only way out is sports, right? Maybe there are a lot of their friends and families maybe are incarcerated, right? So it's just you can't judge these people. You just gotta try to understand. Maybe I think that's one of the biggest lessons I learned is just it's like, yeah, and also just, yeah, it's life's tough, right? Like even look what these guys are going through, the youth sports. Life is shitty at times, right? Like it really is. So it's, they say all the cliche, but it's like not how many times you fall down, but how many times you get back up, right? So like even in this business, like I had to learn the hard way many times, because like I didn't have mentorship. It's like it's a pretty cutthroat industry, sports, as we know, right? So it's like I can't go and ask some of the more well-known agents for advice. They don't want to give it to me. Are you kidding me? Like I'm their competition. I'm trying to take players away. So it's like, why would they help me, right? So,
right.
But I just have a different mindset, because like what Gary Vee says, he's like 9 out of 10 people, you could give them the formula, but 9 out of 10 aren't going to do anything anyway, right? So that's my mindset. I'll give everyone the formula. I'll teach people, I educate them, and it's up to them what they want to do with it, the information, right?
Absolutely. Really well said. It's always interesting to hear the different array of answers we get on that one, because we've asked players, coaches, and we had a journalist on, Danny Austin from Calgary here, and to ask your perspective on it. It's really cool just to see everyone's different take on the lessons football teaches you, because everyone just thinks player coach in the football landscape, but it expands so much further than that. And I mean, you're a living, breathing example of that as an agent, and it goes so much further into the families and just kind of how that all expands. So thank you for your perspective on that.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, we're going to end with some more fun questions here, that have some this or that questions. So
okay,
we'll start off right away. We're a big food orientated podcast. If it wasn't for sports, we'd probably just pivot right to food, honestly. But first question: Lay's or Old Dutch chips?
Oh, Lay's, 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This one I feel is going to be obvious, but Argos or Tie Cats?
Yeah, Tie Cats for sure. I have no preference on sports teams because I'm
right.
I'm agent. But again, black and yellow. I'm from Hamilton. I feel like we've been robbed already from a Grey Cup before. When Speedy Banks returned it for 6, and there was a flag thrown. Like that right? That I'll never forget it.
Cringe.
And makes the cringe, right? And then but Winnipeg last year they whooped Hamilton. They deserved that, and I was happy because I got a player, Nick Hallett, on that team in his rookie season, the seventh rounder. So that shows guys, the 7th rounder, Nick Hallett, played and dressed every game as a rookie and won a Grey Cup in his first year. So it just shows it doesn't matter like if you're drafted or not. It's just like it's all about the journey sometimes, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, that was really cool. And his brother got drafted too, correct, this year?
Exactly. Yeah. Noah Hallett, these to Winnipeg, right? So it's like you can't even write that. Like that's just you know what I mean? Just like destiny, fate. Just like the Raptors winning the championship, I felt like it was destiny. You know what I mean? Like, and then in hockey the same year, St. Louis Blues won again, destiny. Like the way everything happens. I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan. When we won, our first. Yeah, again, destiny, right? Like
I'm
it's just
a Patriots fan.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Jayevan, but yes, I see what you're saying, but no. I don't love it.
All right. Maple Leafs or Senators?
Oh, Maple Leafs, 100%.
There you go.
Exactly. Smart man over there. Smart man.
Back on even keel here. There we go.
There we go.
Instagram or Twitter? I know you're active on both.
I'm going to go, that's a tough one. I think I'm going to go with Twitter just because, you know what? Like it just, I slept on Twitter. Like I used to love Twitter so much, and then I got away from it. But it's like after reading Crushing It, Gary Vee, like, gets you back into that stuff because it's true. It's like it's your own voice. You can engage in so many different conversations. And so I'm going to go with Twitter because it's real. Like I think Instagram's a little bit too fake. It's like a highlight reel of your life on Instagram. Twitter is like raw. It's real. It's authentic. You're getting people in the heated moment tweeting out things like, "Oh my God, I got to delete that later because you got caught up." Right. So I'm going to go with Twitter. I'm going to go with Twitter for that. While
we're here, do you want to plug your Instagram and Twitter handles?
So like my personal would be at Jayevan Foster. And then my business would be at Empire Management. So it's Empire spelled EMPIRE, and Management MGMT, and that's on Instagram, that's on Twitter, YouTube, and that's about it. That's about it. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so at empiremanagement.ca, it's recently been updated too with all my new players and our team and our staff and all the exciting stuff going on. So like I'm just, like I said, I'm praying that that we do have a CFL season. I think everybody misses sports. It's been a long time since we've seen some competitive action. So August 1st, looking forward to see NHL. I'm looking forward to the bubble. But most importantly, I can't wait to see some football, right? We love it. So
likewise. All right. I know, folks from Ontario kind of pronounce milk differently. And, I've heard it pronounced milk. I need clarification on this. Do you pronounce it milk or milk?
Milk.
Yeah,
milk. How does it sound? Yeah, milk.
Yeah, it sounds
pronounce
good.
it the correct way.
Yeah, you got West people, you got Welsh people at the garage, and I got a lot of friends out west. And when I visited Edmonton, I was in Sherwood Park, which is in just outside, I think, Edmonton, I believe, right? Sherwood Park, it's a small subdivision there.
Yeah.
It's like people just wanted me to speak for so long because they were like, oh my gosh. Like I guess we do speak a little bit different in Ontario, but you guys speak different out there too. So it's pretty funny, right? We're all Canada, but we have such different. It's like patois. Like my parents are from Trinidad and Tobago. They speak English, but it's like a slang, right? So it's like we all speak English in Canada, but it's from east to west. It's so different, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of milk, I know you guys have bagged milk out east. Do you buy bagged milk or do you just get it in the cartons or jugs?
Bag milk. 3 bags are usually in a bag. Yeah, 3 bags are in one bag, and then you put them in like a container, and then you pour the milk out. Yeah, you guys have jugs out there, don't you?
Yeah, I've never had bagged milk in my life. So do you have to put a twist tie on it and leave it in the fridge, or is it okay just open?
You snip scissors at the top of it, but it's placed in like a plastic milk jug, a milk container. It's like a special milk container.
No kidding.
Yeah. So next time I'm on, I'll bring it and show you.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
We're just lazy. We just skipped the bag part. We just put it straight in the jug, I guess.
Yeah.
That sounds
takes up a lot more space. I think it takes up a lot more space in a jug. Like in our bags, it's nice and condensed. It's like
and stack them.
Exactly.
That sounds efficient. All right. Speaking of milk, it transitions to our most important question we'll ask on this podcast. Any guest ever. Jayevan Foster. Do you put ketchup on your Kraft dinner?
I do, and hot sauce.
Yes. What?
Let's go.
Yeah, hot sauce like Frank's, or like something called. Yes. I don't know if you guys have it. If we have this Cool Runnings hot sauce, it's like called Cool Runnings. I don't know. Check your grocery store to see if you could find it. But and ketchup, I can't have KD without it, to be honest. Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
What about you guys?
Oh yeah, we're pro ketchup.
Okay, of course, yeah. So
unfortunately, not all the guests we've had on, I think Ozzy can confirm, have been on board. Andy Fantuz was not. Coach Sheehan was not.
Some have been pretty hard on us too. If I remember correctly, wasn't Jabari Arthur one of the hardest on us when he said no?
Yeah, he was not. He was not kind.
So
nice guy, but in that situation, he was not very kind.
And Zach, our other co-host, is also against ketchup on KD. So it's just very pleasant whenever we get somebody who's on that's a pro ketchup on KD-er.
AKA the right side of history. So
yeah. Absolutely. So what do you guys eat Hawaiian pizza then, or is that you guys against that?
Oh,
I've recently converted from being a irrational Hawaiian pizza hater to I had it like a couple months ago and I was like, this is actually pretty good. So
not bad, right?
I'm now a Hawaiian truther, I guess. I'm
going to sound very bougie right now, and I don't mean for this, but I can't have Hawaiian pizza if it's like Domino's or a chain pizza. To me, that's no good. But if I'm at a restaurant and it's like a gourmet pizza and there's like a Hawaiian kind of variation of a Hawaiian pizza, I'm totally okay with it. But I can't just have like a Domino's Hawaiian. I don't know, for me, just like the little chunks of pineapple on there don't cut it for me. But when it's on like a gourmet pizza with like some barbecue sauce or something funky going on there, then I'm on board. So I'm 50-50 with it,
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I dig it, guys. I dig you guys. I dig it.
Oh, thanks, man.
So,
Jayevan, believe it or not, that we're at the end of our interview, man. Thank you for coming
Okay,
on.
wow.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have you back on real soon. This was a great interview and a lot of insight into what some younger football players, whether they're in high school or just beginning their collegiate careers, can kind of look to and say, hey, here's what I need to start doing at the age of 16, 17, 18, 19, and so on. So, and for any aspiring football agents out there, take this advice. Jayevan's giving it for free. It's up to you to go make it happen now. So one more time, you can find Jayevan on Instagram and Twitter, his company and his personal, Jayevan Foster or Empire MGMT, you said?
That's correct.
Awesome. Jayevan, thank you very much. Any
you
last
for
words
having
before
me,
we head
man.
out?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on. You guys are doing great work. Like I said, I love the show. I've watched every episode so far now. So
Awesome.
yeah, you're doing great, and I really appreciate the opportunity. And like I said, stay safe and wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Yes, we are a pro mask podcast. I hope we don't lose a bunch of, you know what? If we lose the ones that don't wear a mask, I'm okay with it. So
Exactly.
Thanks, Jayevan. Take care, man.
All right. Thanks for your time.